Very dark man VDM may have spent about 5, 6 days in EFCC custody, right? But the people that are still in prison, that will remain in prison, is EFCC. And I'll tell you why. As I talked to you, okay, why the VDM case was on, Ayo Makun, comedian AY, and Iyabo Ojo nicodemously reported themselves on social media that they were invited by the anti-graft agencies for crimes related to naira abuse or naira mutilation, and then they became ambassador, trying to preach that we have to do with the culture of abusing naira or spraying naira, so to speak. I remember that Cubana chief priest had done same a couple of days ago. Imoni, the same thing. So it means therefore that if EFCC, they are not taking themselves back in trying to rewind themselves what they would have done earlier. And I'll tell you why. Bobrisky, even if we don't like him, went on to jail at the beehive of the hype against naira mutilation when EFCC just started it. And the guy spent about 6 months in prison for the same crime. And there are several other reports of several other Nigerians that have. There is one makeup artist in Kanu. There's another guy in Yo. One from I think another very guy. And even in Lagos, people have been going to jail. So even if some of them are not popular, they are not socialites, they are not influencers, some of them low-key EFCC have been sending people to jail for 2 years for several reasons, pertaining naira abuse, naira mutilation, sale of naira, and all of that. So it means that they have been actively trying to solve this problem. And I'll tell you, I'll come back to a point around this. But guess what? But when the Okoya's children got involved in it and they got into a mess, EFCC could not do anything. They were handicapped, their hands were tied, and they let that go. But Very Dark Man, that's the point where we must begin to appreciate someone like Very Dark Man. He may not be your guy, but on this particular issue we are talking about now, Very Dark Man was the one. Even if we mentioned that some of us did, but Very Dark Man took it personal and dragged the EFCC on that particular position of allowing the Okoya's children to go and holding other Nigerians, taking them to prison, prosecuting them as the case may be. And there are several other cases currently going on in Nigerian courts about naira abuse, but the Okoya's children got freed because they were close to power. So Very Dark Man took that up personally. So since EFCC saw that Very Dark Man has taken this particular Okoya's children issue against them and has been heavy on them, they now stopped prosecuting new offenders. They now started to advise, admonish, consult, and make them ambassadors. Whereas there are several other persons already that have been punished for the same crime. You see how mess of a society we are. You have punished people for the same crime. Now, because a person of interest, a person that is close, a person you could not deal with, now got involved, you are not trying to retrace. But it's not fair to Bobrisky. It's not fair to all of these guys that are going to jail for the same crime. They committed the same crime, even lesser magnitude. There's a picture of a guy whose work was he even had the money arranged in his hands, yet he was sent to jail. But the same Okoya student that abused and mutilated the naira, they are not being used. They are, because of them and the failure to have prosecuted them, every other person are not getting the benefit of being allowed to plead, go and make good statements. You see, that is why sane societies do not allow corrupt people to get to the leadership space. What made EFCC to get into the prison of conscience now? Because Bola Ahmed Tinubu's relationship with the Okoya's children father now made them not being able to prosecute the Okoya's children. And that's why most societies that want to develop, they stay away from people that have questionable character or business people that are too involved in corrupt practices and do not have integrity. And that's why integrity, responsibility, accountability, they are the watchword of leadership in every sane society. Before we even talk about economic viability and progress of this country, we must rekindle our interest to looking for leaders that have integrity, values, and principles, because that is the only way we can survive and get better. It is the most important. Most important. If we don't get leadership that have integrity, we'll keep being messed around like this. Our institutions want to work, but they are not being handicapped. They are not being siphoned. They are not being pushed around because of one or two things they have to close their mouth against. That is what has led us here. And that's why EFCC took it up against the EFCC. VDM took it against the EFCC. And right now, EFCC is not trying to backtrack. But it's almost too late because they have messed this up. It's the same thing that made them want to go and give Bobrisky a soft landing and took him away from prison because they knew there are several persons around that have committed this same crime, yet they could not. Now, talking about the Naira abusers, I had a long discussion with my friend some hours ago, and I said it clearly. Around the world, there are several cultures that exist. Go abroad, there's culture of putting used items on the road or at front of your house or at the balcony or at major junctions so that people that need them may pick them. There are cultures. It may not be like that in Africa, but I've seen that happen. The day I got really astonished. The day I saw a car, the person outlined the errors and strength of that car. People give things out to charity. People take stuff from their homes. Africa, that may not be, but it's a culture. So the culture of spray money used to be a culture around us, something that all of us are used to, something that makes our parties really pop up, and it's ideal. But at the moment, let's tell ourselves, like I was saying, it is now okay for us to review that culture, because I don't know about Naira abuse and all of that, but I think it just helped to get our sanity back in our systems. A lot of people are now being pushed, are now being pressured by all of this spraying of money, and our society is losing all of its values and principles because people are not looking for illicit wealth. People are not looking for money at all costs because they want to show off, right? And that may have its negative implications. And like I said to my friend, Charles Soludo, governor of Anambra State, arresting those pastors and native doctors may not really be a legal thing, right? Those to speak, he's got now, of course, he's state governor, they can look at the way to impute that into the law. But if you notice that a particular thing is causing some level of distractions and causing crime, you can look for a way to curb it. So if this particular system of the EFCC is a way to curbing crime, why? But what I mean here is that they have been messed up. And right now, they want to act. I can imagine that AYs and the Cubana chief priests and all these guys, yes, he was ready to take them to prison, but because of the failure of not being able to prosecute the Okoya's children, they have been tied down. And that's the mess we are in. So again, this is just a clarion call. If you want to get the society right, the first thing we'll look at for people with integrity, people that have values, people that have principles, people that will not fall for anything, people that will be accountable and responsible. Not this one that you want to fight and there's somebody saying, leave him alone, leave him and go, don't do that. Look at what happened in Lagos State, for example. Lagos State was the Achimugu lady that was taken to court in Abuja. We hear the EFCC, the courts released her. A couple of days later, obviously, we haven't challenged. Said that the particular judge, I think Yang Ekwo, has been suspended for 1 year without pay, 5 years on watch list, and 5 years without any form of promotion. All of that is the mess that we are in society, because you have to please certain paymasters. You have to do this, you have to do, and who pays the piper that takes the tune. So until he frees himself of this prison that they are in, it is going to be a mess. It's going to be. And again, my last call, well done to VDM on this. At least it's very dark man that has made it possible for Nigerians now to be able to get advice from EFCC rather than harassment and taking to court for something that they would have just done immense sensitization. What's the National Retention Agency doing? So VDM technically and indirectly held them on their balls and ensured that they started to rethink, because of course they messed up. How can you jail a few persons? Now jail the next person. You are not doing. You are not being calm and careful. And right now you want to reignite it and begin to hold other persons. It's not going to work. And because of that particular Koya's children misnomer, they have now started to now turn themselves to an advisory board rather than a prosecuting institution. That's what corruption can do to a society. This is a prototype. This is a testament of what corruption can do. So at least when we are seeking leadership, it is not bad to look for people that are brainy and smart, but first, the first base of qualification will be integrity, values, principles, accountability, and responsibility first. Because no matter how a society wants to thrive, even if you put all the smartest people, they don't have quality, values, and principles, don't have integrity, all of these things, you will see too much of criminality all around. That's why we are seeing Yahoo everywhere. Smartness being done without recourse to whether this is legal, whether this is hurtful. And that's, go and read the 7 Deadly Sins by Mahatma Gandhi to help you to understand all of the dimensions talking about. Catch another time. Bye for now.